The light in here is awful. The light in here is awful. The light in here is awful. No. Maybe.
I think we're muted. Oh, there we go.
Welcome, champions. My name is Margaret, and this is Eric. We are coming to you live from Codename Entertainment in beautiful Victoria, BC, Canada. Before we begin, I'd also like to thank D&D for hosting us on the official D&D Twitch channel. It is and always will be an honor to be here. Shout out as well to Erica for helping to co-produce and moderate this stream with us. Dylan is not here today, and we don't expect him back for a few weeks. So very exciting news, but we don't know anything yet. And a very special thank you to our guest, Erin Evans, for joining us to discuss all things.
More chat. Hey, Garwar. More volume. Oh, there's more volume. Yay for Dylan is true. We don't really know much other than yay for Dylan. So
he's gone.
There we go. Oh, we transitioned over. Look at you. You're just like, go, go, go. Margaret's like, had a lot of coffee. There we go.
Dylan's gone. This is Erin.
Can you hear us, Erin?
Yes, I can hear you. Hi.
Yay. Ooh.
Fantastic.
Oh, Eric's volume down. There we go.
I think we're in a better place now.
How's that? Oh, I can't hear myself at all now. Hello. Hello.
Okay.
Let's see. How's the volume there, channel?
Much
Good?
better. Thank you, Garwar.
Great. Okay. Erin, how's your volume? Let's see.
Good.
Good. Good. You can hear it. Yes, technical difficulties. That's true in our part.
Yeah.
Yes. Yeah, Margaret and I were chatting about this earlier. We're like, so have either of us brought someone in on Zoom before? And anyways, so thanks for Mr. Dupuis for doing that.
I was realizing I didn't use Zoom last time.
Well, you did last time you were on, Erin, but neither Margaret nor I set it up.
Yes.
That's
fair.
Yeah. Dylan was here, not off, doing his creating life thing. So
parenting thing. Very exciting. So, Erin, lovely to have you on stream. I think let's start things off with how did you first get connected to D&D?
I started with. I actually worked for Wizards of the Coast as an editor for their novel lines. I got brought in as an assistant editor, and eventually I was the line editor for Eberron and some of Forgotten Realms, little back-end work on Dragonlance. I got to put my fingers in lots of little interesting worlds. And while I was there, there was an opening for a novel, and I auditioned, and it turned out it was pretty good. So,
how do you audition? How do you audition for a novel? Like you do a dance or sing a song that you prepare ahead of time?
For that one, it was a series called Ed Greenwood Presents Waterdeep. And I don't have it out here. I'd flash the book. And what they do is they say, okay, we have, in that case, they needed, I think, three more books for the series. And they did what's called a limited call. And so in a limited call, you go seek out authors that you'd like to work with, but you ask more authors than you have slots. And that way they pitch the book. They say, okay, here's the story I would tell. Here's a little sample scene that I did. And then you can look at all of them and say, okay, these are the ones we want to do. And where I lucked in is that they were short. They didn't have enough people. I think, you know, you want to have a couple extra, and they didn't have enough extra. And the editor for Forgotten Realms, Susan J. Morris, had seen some of my writing because, you know, we were colleagues, we were friends, and she liked it. She said, "Would you like to try doing this?" I didn't really necessarily think anything was going to happen. I kind of thought I was, you know, the extra body in the lineup. But it turned out that she really liked my story, and Ed Greenwood really liked my story, which unfortunately put her in the position of, because we were colleagues, having to do another round to prove that she wanted this book more than these others. So it didn't work out for her in that way, but it worked out for me, and I hope it worked out for the Forgotten Realms, because that's how I got to write my first book, The Godcatcher. And from there, I was invited to write what became Brimstone Angels, which is the book that Farida and Havilar are in, which was originally meant to be a standalone, just about Tiefling. But they liked it so much, they said, "We want this to be a series." So that's where they all came in.
Yay!
That's super exciting. And there, I hadn't read Brimstone Angels previously, but now having read enough about them and playing with Farida and now Havilar, I'm like, okay, these are definitely on my list. So
Yay.
Yeah, just don't try to find them in paperback, at least the first one. Yeah.
Your libraries are a good place to look if you really want to hold the book in your hand, but they are out of print, and probably given you know the direction that Webster's putting its energy, probably could be a future. But they are available as ebooks, and the audiobooks I hear are very good. I can't. I get weirdly embarrassed listening to someone else read my books out loud.
Oh, really?
I haven't actually listened to them.
Would you be more comfortable if it was you reading it out loud?
Maybe.
Really?
Although I think I wouldn't have to be able to think very much about other people listening to me read it out loud. Like, I don't have a problem doing reading, but there's something about it that I will tell you a ridiculous story. When I wrote The Godcatcher. So this is my first book. It's very exciting, and it came out, and we decided, like my sisters and I were like, we're going to go find it at a bookstore because that's so exciting. When the first bookstore had sold out, they only had like 2 copies, and they both sold. So the next bookstore that was
Oh, it's all breaking up.
That's all breaking.
Whatever you did there, stop.
Lying on or my dirty laundry on the shelf here, and I was like, I have to hide this, and I was like, this is the weirdest feeling. And obviously, I've gotten over it, but when they started putting out the audiobooks, I tried listening, and I had that same feeling. Like, there's something very intimate about it that feels strange. Like, I can accept people are reading my books, but someone like performing my books, I don't know. I haven't gotten used to it, but. The narrator is named Dina Perlman, and I understand she does an amazing job, and I have put her through her paces because there are a lot of draconic words and you know, abyssal curses and things in there that are not easy. But she's a pro.
So then you didn't. When did you first play Dungeons and Dragons?
Actually, the first time I played Dungeons and Dragons, I had just moved to the Seattle area, so I was like early 20s. And a coworker of my husband's had said, like, "Oh, I want to play D&D. I want to like get everybody together and like have this good nostalgic game for this thing we used to do." And I was like, "I never played D&D," and this makes no sense because I have been obsessed with fantasy from like age 6. And like I spent the entirety of my high school years like writing stories about dragons and things and drawing, you know, complex pictures of like warrior princesses and stuff. And like it was really disorienting when I did finally publish my first book. How many of my friends from high school, these guys were like, "Oh my God, I love Forgotten Realms. I love D&D." And I'm like, "Where were you?" Like, I would have taken to this like a fish to water and nada. So that was my first game, and I made myself a neutral evil sorceress.
Love it.
And did not. I remember at one point someone got like an amulet that was like somehow going to harm undead, and I was like, I'm not going to get hurt, right? And the DM was like, Are you a zombie?
Wow.
And,
so
yeah, that went one session and nobody made it back.
So then you definitely, so you'd played D&D prior to becoming a esteemed Forgotten Realms novelist, I guess. Yeah. Yes. And we were chatting a little bit ahead of time, and you were saying that, because I guess you got a couple of different games going on, and you've been playing at home with your son.
Yeah, so I played, my son just turned 8. He has sort of grown up with this all around him. The adorable story is that about the time he was potty training was when the Sundering books came out. So I had a copy of the Companions when it first came out, and he insisted on, like, you know, his dolls are going to use the potty, and then he needed wits to use the potty. So we had to put the copy of the Companions on the potty, like, very much in the fabric of his upbringing. But we decided, he wanted for his birthday to play D&D. So I made them a Legend of Zelda Breath of the Wild themed game.
Oh, great.
I borrowed my friend's piles of Dwarven Forge stuff and built a big labyrinth for them to go through where they had to sort of do favors for the dragon in that game. And they had a lot of fun. When you let an 8-year-old play, they need breaks. So we had things like, okay, you have to go find the Koroks in the backyard, and I had laminated a bunch of Koroks. I was like, you run around and find 50 little pieces of paper to get this out of your system. And at one point they found there's these kind of magical robot kind of things, guardians, and they found one of the flying ones, which was a pinata, so they got to beat the junk out of that. So it ended up being really fun. At the end, they were like, let's play this. But, you know, kids have busy schedules, grown-ups have busy schedules, and I am currently playing in a streaming game on Gen Con TV on Wednesdays at 6:30. So that is my D&D fix right now.
Yeah. Well, and before, I guess, so definitely want to ask about that. Yeah, so having run a lot of games with 8-year-olds, my experience was that ongoing campaigns didn't work so well, but one-offs around birthdays or big holiday things. And Dwarven Forge is great because it really helps them. It like lowers the cognitive load because they can point and be like, my character is here and it's going here and stuff like that.
I'm kind of interested to see if they could play a longer thing, is that they have since, they all wanted to do it again. They have since on their bus rides, because my son is in a like a heavy capable program, so his whole class kind of gets on the bus here and then goes to the other school, and they've been playing D&D, where one of them takes a turn being the DM and sort of describes the scenario, and they say what their characters are going to do. And it's a lot of, because they're 8, it's a lot of like, I tricked you, like, you can't possibly defeat my thing, but they're getting better at it. I kind of pointed out, like, you can't throw all these characters at a lich and not explain what a phylactery is. But he's kind of, we sat down and played, we started playing the game that you introduced me to, Eric, the Pudding Fair on DM's Guild.
Oh my God, that's such a great adventure.
Yes. I want to finish it, but like it's you know, it's my sisters and their partners and him, and so he has, you know, a younger nephew, and everybody's schedules have not worked out, but they have gotten to the interesting part, let's say, and he was super into it. He made himself an Arakocra druid, Ronkus, and so Ronkus is the character that he plays on the bus, and that is like kind of continuing. So I think he might be kind of sucking his friends into having. But I think that 3 hours, the 3-hour party was too much.
Yeah. So if anyone in chat is looking for a really cool kind of 1-2 off adventure, Pudding Fair is an adventure on DM's Guild, which is super awesome, and it kind of turns a lot of the conventions about what a TRPG D&D session would look like. So big shout out to that. We have a few questions here. Let's see. Eric has got one highlighted, so maybe we'll do that one around Gen Con. Erin, you mentioned Gen Con. Are you going to Gen Con? How about you, Margaret? And how about you, Eric?
Yes, I am planning on going to Gen Con this year.
Yay!
I'm always hesitant because I haven't got my hotel room yet, so there's a possibility it might get tricky. But I usually participate in the Writers' Symposium, which is, if you are interested in writing, is a really good set of panels with interesting craft questions. And there's a lot of sort of levels. Like, so if you're just kind of curious, or if you're, you know, trying to figure out how to hone your craft, or if you're trying to figure out how to make this more into a business, like, there's a lot of topics that are really well presented.
Wow, that sounds really useful.
Yeah. I don't think Margaret knows. Sadly, I don't think Margaret's going, but I'll probably be there again, hopefully with my wife Mitra. So yay!
Oh yay!
We can have coffee again, and see blurry Erin boarding a plane with her coffee.
That's right. I forgot we found out we were on the same plane.
That's right. Well, because we took a really early morning flight from Victoria to Seattle, and then the Seattle one into Indianapolis. So
I had taken a selfie of me drinking coffee, and then I was getting on the plane, and I saw Eric. I was like, "Wait a second!" He's like, "I just saw your selfie."
I know, that's how, because I leaned over, because the loading area is pretty full, but I saw your selfie, and I leaned over to Mitra, and I'm like, "Hey, Erin's here somewhere." Yeah, and actually, funny thing was, so the flight out of Victoria was like 6 a.m. or some crazy time, and so you're up, ungodly out early, and got to go through security, and blah 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 blah. So we finally, and my wife, bless her soul, does not like early mornings. So we finally, we got there on time. We got through security. We sat down to get a bit of food and some coffee in the Victoria airport, waiting for our plane to load. And then this other couple sat down, and it's still pretty quiet because not a lot of people there. And just kind of had to look, and we're like, "You look like you're going to Gen Con, aren't you?" And they're like, "Yeah." And so we had this whole discussion with them. And then it turned out one of them was doing some customer support stuff. And I'm like, it's pretty early, but when you get back here, email me, because we're probably going to be hiring some customer support people. And so that's Sean, who we hired. Yay, Sean, meeting at the airport.
Sean.
So
also, if
that's
you...
awesome.
Anyways, but yes. There we go. Another question for you from Daza287. Have you watched Critical Role, and opinion, I guess, and if so, do you have an opinion on it?
I haven't watched a lot of streaming shows. I have 2 small children and a lot of work to do, and I find I can't. It's frustrating because it's the kind of thing where a lot of people tell me, "Oh, you do, one thing in the foreground, and then you watch it in the background," because it's the kind of thing where watching the streaming show doesn't necessarily need all of your attention all the time, and I can't do that while I'm writing, obviously. So I haven't watched a ton, but in preparation for our streaming show, we did make a point of kind of seeing what everybody else is doing, and they're kind of, they're the grand masters of it. So.
Yeah, I found, because obviously we've done a lot of stuff with various folks doing streams, and when I chat with fans, like we're doing signings or something at something like PAX, and I chat with people, I don't find there's a lot of overlap. There are some people who will watch multiple streams, but people kind of tend to pick one stream that they're super into if they're going to devote the time, because it is actually a really big time commitment to be into those streams, And so and then they're usually into the fan community and making fan art, all sorts of other expressions that come along with that. So I find that they don't watch multiple streams. Typically, they've got one that they're really into. So. Let's see. So you created Havilar.
Yes.
Can you, for people who don't know Havilar and now can put Havilar into Idle Champions, can you tell us a little bit? Can you introduce us to Havilar?
Yes. So Havilar is Farita's identical twin sister. Identical except for the fact that Farita has a complete heterochromia for reasons. So that's the way to tell them apart, which is real handy when you're writing about them. But they are the kind of siblings where they, I was thinking when I was first creating them, how when you have siblings, and especially when you're close, that you have this tendency to sort of choose identifiers for yourself. I'm the smart one, or I'm the athletic one, to sort of divide your identity. Also the flip side, one sibling decides gets kind of marked as the smart one, you're like, well, I'm not smart. which is kind of, as you get older and as you sort of become your own person, a weird thing to break away from. Like when I was doing this, I was talking to a friend who was saying how, you know, he doesn't think of himself as the athletic one. His brother is the athletic one. And this friend runs like 3 miles a day and has like, you know, multiple belts in different martial arts. And I'm like, you're still athletic. So Havilar is actually the one who originally summoned Farida's patron, Lorcan, and did it because she likes being able to trap things. She's like, well, look what I did. She did not do it right, though. So Lorcan got out and made the pact. And a lot, especially the early series, to sort of, I guess, in shadow. Because in a lot of ways, Havilar is the daughter that their adoptive father knows how to deal with, because she's a really talented fighter. She's very good at using the glaive. She's really dedicated to it. There's a point in the series where someone kind of talks about, like, no matter what she does, she seems like she comes out of it with like a new understanding of how to make this weapon work. Like, she's kind of a savant on this very one-track thing, but she's also kind of silly. Like, especially early on, she sort of try to explain how things were working, and she would really be misunderstanding things. Like, there's a scene where she fights a Hydra, and then at the end, she goes around and she cuts all the Hydra's heads off and burns them, and the other people at the party are like, what are you doing? And she's like, you have to, because otherwise a whole Hydra is going to grow out of this head. Did you read? So she's sometimes the comic relief. She's sometimes the one who, she's like the foil to Farida. But I really enjoy her because she gets to also be that fun kind of juxtaposition of, she's the bruiser, right? She's the one who goes in first with like blades going, and she's also real girly. Like, she thinks of herself as the pretty one, even though they're identical, and she like gets real excited when she gets to dress up. And you know, she's the character where, like, in the first book, there's this scene where they go into a shop that's selling adventurers goods, and there's like, you know, sexy lady adventurer armor, and she's like, oh my god, I look so amazing in this. It's like, that is pretend adventurer clothes, because this is how you're gonna like lose a kidney, and this is how you're gonna pop a lung. But she's just a lot of fun to write, because she is someone who, like, primarily really just wants to be her authentic self, whatever that is. And there's something nice about like writing someone who doesn't have a lot of layers of artifice going on, when the other characters often do.
So between the two, do you have a favorite, or like they both your children kind of, and you can't choose a favorite?
I love them both. I love them both. They're sort of different characters. They're different. They're fun in different ways to write. And I've really enjoyed kind of being able to take them through this multi-book series and have them grow and change in different ways and sort of separate and become their own, you know, adult selves. Havilar's fight scenes are a lot of fun. You know, Eldritch Blast. It's fun having her react to things that are sort of more complicated, because she's going to kind of shoot away through it. And it's fun because I think that, like, Lorcan is a character. Lorcan is Farida's patron, and he's a Cambion, and he's very good at manipulating people. And Havilar is like the one character he's not really good at manipulating, because she doesn't really want things that, like, the things she wants that she can't get, she's sort of like, I know I can't have this. So he tries to sort of trick her, and she sees through it. So even though she's not the smart one, like, she is sort of the one who can call him out. And having those two together in the third book, they kind of go on a journey together, and it's really, I don't know, it was really fun to put them face to face and have them play off of each other. Yeah.
So you don't have one that you love more than the other.
No.
But when deciding to get to be one for the live stream with High Rollers and Mark Hume and you know, Nate Sharp joined us and everything for that game, you made a choice. You voted You're like, well, no, I don't like Farida as much as I like Havilar, and I'm just all in on Havilar.
So this kind of goes back to the conversation we were having, that there's a difference between like what belongs in a novel and what a novel is doing and what a game is doing.
Right.
And Farida as a character, Farida actually started out as a character in a game, but I had to change her a lot. And one of the things that is important in the books is that a lot of what happens for Farida is in her headspace. So having that character on stage, like performing, I would have to be talking a lot about what I'm thinking about. Whereas Havilar is a very reactive character, and she doesn't kind of hold her thoughts back. And she says funnier stuff. So Farida's a little serious, a little like, let's get this job done kind of. And like a lot of what's going on is in her interactions with the characters and in sort of what's going on for her in her head. So Havilar is way more fun to play.
Right.
Because you can, you can chat first, ask questions later. You can say dumb things. You can just say things that are sort of non sequiturs and funny. And also she has a big hellhound, and that's always great.
Yeah, I remember seeing like kind of a behind the scenes thing for Tabletop, that series on YouTube that Will Wheaton was doing, playing games and stuff. And I remember him chatting about like the criteria that went into choosing a game, and he's like, it needs to be a game that's going to be interesting to watch. And he's like, I love playing Magic the Gathering, but watching someone play Magic the Gathering, they're just like, especially if you don't know how to play the game, they're just kind of thinking about a bunch of stuff and they're not vocalizing things. So there we go. Let's see, we have some more questions. Let's see. Over there too. Okay.
Neatly arranged.
Neatly arranged by Erica. Thank you. Paranitis? Yeah, we'll go with that, maybe. First stream, so welcome. The first stream they've ever watched. Question, any chance of releasing a Brimstone Angels omnibus paperback? My guess is Erin's like, that's Wizards. That is Wizards. I think
that call.
Literally no one in this conversation knows about that.
Yeah.
Other than
that would be very cool.
I think they would have 3 sales if there's anyone from Wizards listening. 3 sales right here.
4 if we include.
Oh yeah, 4. Yeah, exactly. Yeah. So, but yes, no, unfortunately, I don't think we know. But that would be great if it happened.
Yeah.
Garwar, question: what other characters from your books do you think would make fun champions in the game?
Oh, wow, that's a good question. I have to admit, because I'm not the one that figures out how to make them interesting in the game, I sort of just tell you guys what I think is interesting about them as characters, and you figure out really cool ways to make that a fun thing to play. So part of me is like, well, any of them, but I'm not totally sure. Part of me says Mahen because I love Dragonborn, and Lightning Breath is always cool, and there is a certain amount that it's relevant in the books that they fight as a team, that they play off of each other and use each other's strengths. So that could turn into something fun. And then at some point I'm just like, well, I could just list the ones I love the most, but
they're all your children. You love them all.
Right?
Yeah.
There's a character Doll, who I did, he was a paladin and he messed up. And so now he is primarily a fighter, but he's, at the end of the series, he's kind of maybe moving towards, we'll see, cleric, but his kind of coping thing is that he was a character from 4th edition, so he really just put all his focus on ritual magic. So he has a lot of spells that are sort of utilitarian that he uses in ways that are a little like let's see if we can use this for a fight. Like if I put a sentinel up and it's going to scream at you really loud, that's going to like give me advantage because I know you're coming, and also it's going to make your ears bleed because I've tweaked this ritual to amplify it excessively. And I don't know, I like him a lot. I think he's a fun character. Mechanically, I don't know if that is fun, but and Lorcan is always good for some splashy magic.
So maybe, I mean, so we've kind of done it twice now of bringing one of your beloved characters into the game. So what's the sort of process like kind of from your side for folks who don't know kind of what that works? Obviously, we handle the design game elements, but, you know, how's that been in terms of translating something that, you know, is words on a page and an image, I guess, in your head to sort of seeing it in the game? And what's that been like for you?
It's wonderful. I really love working with you guys, and I really love what comes out of it. It's everything I could possibly hope for. What's happened is that, you know, I chat on the phone or like a video conference about the characters, about what's important to know about them in a sort of a personality way, in an appearance way. One of the very tiny things that's really critical is that I don't think Farida shows her teeth when she smiles, and I think she's very serious. Like if she's fighting monsters like she is up here, she's in business mode. I think Havilar grins like a maniac when she's so like I said, like maybe I was telling Alexis, the artist who created them, like part of me is going like, oh, you just go like paste the face down because they're identical twins. But that's kind of a key part, is that Havilar like takes joy in this, and you can see it in the way that she is expressing herself and the way she's animated, and I really love that. You know, we talk about sort of big events that might kind of be things to hint at, like climactic battles. We talk about, you know, special powers and things, and you know, for Havilar, for both of these characters. The mindset that kind of went into it is that these are like versions of the characters, so they don't exist after the books, and they sort of exist sort of in the middle and also after, so that you can take whatever cool thing you want. So Havilar has these powers that she develops in the series, sort of as it's a little complicated, but she's like sort of chosen of Asmodeus. So one of her items is the Hellhound that she's given, which is not actually one of her powers that she gets. Is she has a really strong reaction, sorry about that, to demons that lets her kind of pass a buff onto people, and that these two imps show up and do things for her if she needs help. And the first thing that she needs is something that can track someone down that I can't find. And so they give her this hellhound that she named Zuni, and that she kind of bonds with. And because hellhounds are lawful first and evil later, like Zuni just really likes being told what to do. Like, it's really satisfying. So I really enjoy Zuni. And so that was one of the things I know we talked about, was that maybe Zuni is something that happens with Havilar. But then the idea for using the imps to be sort of Havilar's power came in, and I really enjoy it because it's different, and it also has this lovely nod to the books, because what happens in the books is she gets these two imps, and at the end of the first book with the imps, one of them gets punished and dies. And so there's a new imp in the next book. And then that one dies. And then there's a new one in the next book. Because they're not very smart.
Disposable imps.
The fact that you made this mechanic where she can sacrifice the imps is this lovely kind of tongue-in-cheek nod to the events of the book, that doesn't feel kind of bound up and like forced to follow some other plot. And I think it's really, really cool. So yeah, I just have enjoyed very much the process.
Oh, good. Yeah, it's interesting. Even though we've created some original characters in the game, because, you know, we're not Wizards of the Coast, and, you know, for the most part, it's not our characters. The whole approach of the studio on this game has very much been like this feeling of we're a steward for these characters. And so even in instances where there's a character that, like, you know, Farida being part of the Forgotten Realms novels, all kind of part of that world, you know, it's great to be able to sort of work directly with you and kind of have you articulate what you feel are the best things as sort of responsible stewards for the character we should make sure we carry into the game and represent sort of in the fullest way for what that is. Because it's really, for us, that's been a huge part of just the game overall, and our love for the game is to be able to translate the world and the characters in ways that they sort of feel really authentic and genuine to what they're about. So it's been great. We love working with you too, Erin. It's been great working with you. It's been so much fun. So let's see. Oh, we have some more questions. Do you want to do a question?
Zeki 640. Hello.
It sounds like Vancouver. It's the Vancouver area code.
Havilar's constitution seems somewhat low for a fighter or a tank. They would like to know if these are the stats that you rolled when you used her in a game, or did we set the stats? Like,
oh yeah, because when you pop,
Sure.
yeah, I don't know actually.
You know, it might be the character sheet from the game, because I think at some point someone asked me to send that. That is, I will say, an imperfect representation of Havilar, because I made it the night before very quickly, and I was told you're going to be this level. So I don't know that if I were going to sort of sit down and make Havilar a player character that people could pick up and look at and use, I might change some things.
Yeah. And it's also going to vary, as you say, by level, right? Like if they're playing a level 15 campaign, that's very different than if we're playing a starting campaign.
And I actually don't remember what level we were told to build at, but I remember thinking, I don't know that that's the right level for book Havilar. Oh well, it doesn't matter. I'm just gonna have fun.
Right. Well, and at a point, there is kind of this divergence between book or stream representations of characters and then the character sheet that we end up in the game. And just because the mechanics of obviously the game are not the same as the mechanics of D&D in terms of leveling up and stuff like that. So, there's definitely differences there.
There's a certain amount in fiction that you have a little protagonist armor. Like, you want to read a cool fight scene that maybe would be stupid to get into if you were actually playing D&D. And I know I have definitely written fight scenes where it's someone being smart and man, I wish I could remember the specific thing, but I remember a reader coming to me and saying I love that, because you think about you've got this fighter and he's super tough, but a kid comes up and stabs him in the armpit where his armor's not covered. Doesn't matter. And that's sort of outside of the game, but you can do that sort of thing in fiction if you're not overdoing it. You can't make everything work out perfectly for everybody, but also you're not reading this because you want to watch Havilar get destroyed. Or if you are, I'm sorry, this is the wrong book.
It's true. Yeah, if you're reading for the protagonist to get destroyed, I like how so evil Emperor Zerg. Erin, have you studied any martial arts yourself?
So I will let you know, I took karate when I was 6, and then we moved.
That was it. You were done.
But I am really fortunate in that the editor I mentioned before, Susan J. Morris, who is my former editor and my forever friend, which is, I'm so glad that that everything else is wonderful. I really enjoy about what I've gotten to do, but I will always treasure the fact that I met my best friend doing this. She is trained in a lot of martial arts. She's done jujitsu and Muay Thai and wow, I don't even remember. At some point, I feel like when she was really at peak, it was like a part-time job. She was doing so many martial arts.
Wow.
And so the wonderful thing is when you're writing a fight scene, and you're sort of picturing what you would want it to look like in your reader's head, right? And you show it to your editor who knows what it takes to throw someone by the neck, for example. She'll point out, okay, this doesn't work, or this would work, but you need to make sure she plants her foot first. So I have someone who helps me get those little details so that it's still not probably perfectly accurate, because again, that's not what I'm writing for. It's not a manual to fight. There are lots of people who can teach you how to do that. But it's nice to get those sort of things that would throw someone out of the story fixed up. And it's also nice for things like, I've never actually been punched in the face. What happens inside you when someone punches you in the face? What's your reaction? And then I don't have to get punched in the face to figure it out.
What does happen when you get punched in the face? I've never been punched in the face either.
No.
So, and this is not an invitation. So
that's your first, that you have this huge fight or flight response, and you want to get out of there, and that you can sometimes then overcome to the punch back, but that you kind of have to cope with that like flood of sudden adrenaline that you're just telling your body to do all sorts of things. And that may not be true for everybody, but that is there's a point where Lorcan gets clocked right in the face, and that is why I asked, and that's where I went for it.
There we go. No, Zeke, it was not an invite for Erin, or for Margaret or Erin, anyone to punch me in the face. No, please
don't tell me to punch my boss in the face.
No.
But, no.
Magpie3 has a question. Have you ever used something that's happened in your D&D game and put it into one of your novels?
Oh, I'm not sure. I don't think so, but I also I don't remember. So Farida did start out as a character I was playing as when I was an editor at Wizards of the Coast. You know, we had the editorial staff played 4th edition Forgotten Realms game, and actually Susan also played. We did play twins. Her character was not Havilar at all. She was very different. And Farida was a Fey Pact warlock, and it was mostly me being really snarky, because I wasn't really sure what I was doing with this character. But the things that happened in that game, actually, okay, here is something I did take. Now I'm remembering. So our art director, Matt Adelsberger, played a drow. Oh man, I don't remember what his class was. He had a sword and a wand, and cast darkness a lot. So Phalar was one of our characters, and so when I wrote the adversary, Farida is sort of taken to this internment camp full of people who are suspected to be chosen, because during the Sundering, the gods are sort of putting little sparks of their divinity into people as a kind of countermeasure, is the thought. And so there are lots of people here who have special powers, and one of the people there is this drow, Phalar. And so I put Phalar into my book. He did not ever talk to Farida, which was, I mean, that was probably best, because the interaction between them in the game was a little, he called her Frito Bandito a lot. But he is this sort of like very sneaky drow, the chosen of, wow, I can't remember names now. He's the god with the mask, because Phalar is a mask.
The god with the mask?
What's the drow god with the mask?
There we go. Question for chat. Yeah. Drow god with a mask. Not Loth.
Blanking. I could see the picture in the campaign guide. But at any rate, so that was one where I plucked this thing that kind of happened in the game that I had a soft spot for. It's not mask. I saw that go up in the chat.
It's not mask?
I don't have those books in here anymore.
Oh, is it Veyron? I don't know how to say that. How do you say that? Veyron?
Yeah, that guy.
That guy.
I actually, to be honest, that is one where I've read it a lot, and I have never said it out loud. So congratulations, folks, you have heard it here. I don't know how to say Veyron. But yeah, he's the chosen of that guy. Good, then I don't have to flip through the book.
There we go. Oh, yeah. And Garwar is already on it. Thank you, Garwar, for that. There we go.
And, Christopher M287 has a question about your process. You mentioned earlier the number of books and what they were generally set before you signed on. How much leeway or interaction did you have with working for the number of books that were produced?
So when I was writing this series, I would be contracted beforehand. They would say, we want you to write these books. And actually, I got contracted kind of early. They wanted to sort of stack me up to stay on for a longer series. And then when the book would come out, I'd often be told, like, okay, we want you to include this element. So for Brimstone Angels, that book needed to be set in Neverwinter, and I needed to use elements from the Neverwinter MMO in the book. So I had those materials, but then the story itself, like I outlined the story, and then it's a question of sort of discussing with the editor, like, how do I make this story the best story it can be? Because that's the most important thing. Like, if this book does a good job of telling you all the things that might be in the Neverwinter game, but you didn't want to read it, that wasn't very helpful. Like, it should be an enjoyable experience on its own. So then, excuse me, Lesser Evils needed to involve the Harpers and the Gentarum. The adversary was tied into the Sundering event. And so that was a discussion with the other authors about where we fit in. But in that case, too, like, you know, we knew there's these were the big overarching events, but the core story about the Chosen in the internment camp was mine, because my husband's grandfather, actually, when he was a teenager, was during World War II, was put in an internment camp in the Philippines, and he has this really interesting letter that's full of the details of it. And what's fascinating to me is how much of it is being a teenager, you know, and it's like, it doesn't just all stop and go away. You know, he still did, there were things in it about how he and his friend found this one room where the guards really didn't go, and they blacked out the windows and they had to dance. But he was so terrified to talk to girls, so he just like stood in the corner the whole time after all this work to make the dance happen. And I found that really kind of an interesting angle and an heartwarming thing. Fire in the Blood was kind of all, I didn't really have a lot of steerage on that. I got to kind of do what I wanted, and it had to sort of tie into other pieces of the Sundering. Ashes of the Tyrants was tied into the demons in the Underdark adventure that I can't remember the name of.
Into the Abyss?
What?
Is that Into the Abyss?
Yeah, I think so.
Right, I think so. Yeah.
I don't know, because when I was working with the materials, it didn't have a final title, so the final title never clicked in.
Oh, there we go. It was Out of the Abyss. That's right. Not Into the Abyss. It's Out of the Abyss.
Get over there. And then Devil You Know is sort of loosely tied into Storm Giants Thunder. There are new giants that appear in that. So I think I answered that question.
Yeah.
So here's a question Erica hasn't put in, but an easy one for you. Have you ever met Ed Greenwood?
Lots of times, yeah.
Yeah. There we go.
Ed used to go to Gen Con regularly, and I would always have dinner with him. I used to send Ed a lot of Realmsler questions, and actually, and so we'd have a nice kind of back and forth sending letters. And actually, it's funny because yesterday I sent my first Realmsler question to him in like many a year to do a project for the streaming game that I'm in, and it was sort of, I don't know, it was kind of like, he's lovely. He's a crazy guy.
Yeah, I've only met him a few times, but anytime I have to role play Elminster in our home campaigns, I try to channel Ed.
Seems accurate.
Let's see.
So we have another question from Darkstrider 193, and they would like to know, if Havilar gets an alternative skin in Idle Champions, what do you want her to wear? If not her current uniform.
I feel like what Havilar would want as a character if she got an extra, is like a really fancy ball gown.
Yes.
Margaret's like,
yes. Bring on the Marie Antoinette ball gown.
Yeah. There's a scene in Fire in the Blood where she is getting fitted for a dress because her situation is such as she can have it. And she's asking the seamstress, like, can you cut some slits in this so that I can kick, kind of move in it? Because I feel like this is going to get tangled. So I enjoy that aspect of her, that in the course of the series, when the situation arises that she gets to dress up, she is psyched. She's still bringing her glaive with her, but she is psyched.
I love it.
Yeah.
And we have a follow-up question about your writing process. Do you prefer working with constraints, or do you like a completely open space?
Oh, they're so different. The thing I really like about writing tie-in is that, or at least specifically for Forgotten Realms, because my understanding is for a lot of other properties, you're much more constrained. And for Forgotten Realms, they're like, here's a whole world, and there's, maybe you can't go here, you can't go there, right? Don't write where Bob Salvatore is writing his Drizzt novels, because you don't need to cross the streams there. But go for it. What do you want to do? With those other limitations, like you got to write about Harper's and Jintarum. So then you have all these source books to look through, and you find things that are sort of set that you can't change. And sometimes those things were made because they made sense in a game terms, but they maybe don't make sense in terms of telling like a bigger story and fiction. Or maybe someone said this and then someone said this, and they don't go together. And what happens is you get this cool, like almost negative space where you can go, well, how do I make these fit together? And I find that really exciting. I really like doing that. When I finished working on novels for Wizards, I started writing my own stuff. And it is very disorienting to no longer have those immovable pillars, right? It's exciting in that I can kind of let loose. And there are a lot of places, there are places where you get to do world building, even though you're working in a world that someone else has. And so, for example, like my book, Ashes of the Tyrant, I got to do a lot of setting up what does Dragonborn society look like, and how do Dragonborn who live in Jared Zymar sort of behave, and what do they care about, and things like that, which like I really enjoy doing that, and I was really grateful that I got that opportunity. But most of the time it's there, and you kind of just get to show what someone has said in this many words and in more. So in writing my own stuff, like I have the freedom to do that, and if I really think something's cool, nobody's gonna come in and say, no, you can't do that, or you can't write about this because someone else is doing it, or no, we feel like that explanation is gonna mess something else up. It's like, this is all mine. But when it comes to going like how do I bounce off of something? There's nothing to bounce off of. It was a really disorienting process to get used to.
Yeah, it's funny. My 20-year-old keeps saying like, "Dad, why are we playing D&D in Forgotten Realms? Like, don't you want to make your own setting?" And I'm like, I really enjoy kind of being within this setting that people spend all this time on, and I can draw and stuff. But of course, the difference is I'm not like writing a novel that's going to be published. So for my home game, if I don't like something, I could just sort of throw it out or whatever. So it's kind of like the best of all worlds.
Chris Perkins isn't going to come down and say, absolutely not.
Exactly. So, yeah, but I can see why it would be. It's nice to have those pillars, and that's the cool thing about Forgotten Realms is there is so much history there, and you've got Ed Greenwood and all these people you can bounce stuff off of and get feedback on.
Yes.
Yeah. There we go. Oh, wow, we're almost at time, aren't we?
Yes. Well, we've got another about 10 minutes or so.
I thought we were supposed to be done at... Oh, okay. Oh, hey, I don't know what I'm doing.
I thought we were supposed to be done at 2.
At 2? I thought we were supposed to wind up a few minutes before 2.
Okay, well, we can right.
No, hey, you're the person.
I want to talk about Dungeon Scrawlers.
I'm just the pretty guy with a
kilt. Can I talk about Dungeon Scrawlers before I go?
Yeah, absolutely.
I want to hear about Dungeon Scrawlers.
Yeah.
My party mates might be a little peeved I didn't.
No.
Yeah. No, I actually, and I really want to hear kind of how it came into existence, and poof, there's this thing. Go. Yeah, go. Yeah, that's over to you, Erin.
So the Dungeon Scrawlers is a group of fantasy authors. We're playing a game right now called the Westgate Irregulars, which is based on a Westgate source book that our DM, Eric Scott DeBee, who is also a Forgotten Realms writer, is creating. And we're on Gen Con TV at 6:30 on Wednesdays. We sort of just finished up a little intro arc to kind of show off Westgate and some of the big players. But it's been a lot of fun because, with everybody being a fantasy author, you're coming in and you're like, okay, so this is my character's internal arc and this is my character's external arc, and I'm going to figure out how to weave that into yours. So my character is Cecilia. I'm a half-elf from Rashomon, which is a place in Forgotten Realms, which is very far out in the snowy east. And she shows up in Westgate with the mask of the masked witches of Rashomon, who are the sort of powerful, they're kind of specialized wizards in game turns that rule the country. And she might not be telling the truth about that or a lot of other things.
Oh.
What
is that? Untrustworthy narrator? Is that what that's called in literary terms? Is that what it's called?
Compulsive liar.
Oh, I think that's what we call it when it's not fiction.
Yeah. But it's a lot of fun. So it's me. It's Rhiannon Held, who writes urban fantasy primarily, and she's actually in my writing group. We've got Randy Henderson, who writes a humorous urban fantasy series called Fin Fancy. Stephen Merlino, who was a Writers of the Future winner. He wrote a series called The Hidden Moon. We have Emily Tang, who's actually works for Wizards, writing Magic the Gathering stuff. And then we have Yang Yang Wang, who is helps run Clarion West, which is this big workshop out here, and is also, fortunately for us, he's also an actor and a director, so he's helping us be better at the part that isn't making up stories.
And you guys are all in Seattle, right? Like it's a physical game that's then streamed out, right?
Yes, we all meet up at Gen Con's Caldea Studios. We have this cool set. And we are all, we're all in the same space, so it's fun because I feel like it's a lot easier to kind of get into a one-on-one interaction with the person next to you. Like I usually have Rhiannon next to me, and Rhiannon's character is my character's half sister, who is very like proper and like cares about her appearance, and she cares right now very much about what people think about her. And they have a nice push-pull because, she follows Cecilia out here because Cecilia is the brave one. And Cecilia is the one who's like, we're going to go on an adventure and forget your, controlling stepmother. And now Artemisia is like, wait, maybe I'm a badass. Maybe I'm a badass, which is causing some problems because Cecilia's like, no, I'm the badass. I'm teaching you how to be a badass. So that's something I love is that, you can play this game in lots of different ways, but I really enjoy being able to put a lot of character into it and have strong character moments, and sort of build an arc into the narrative of change and growth for that character while Eldritch blasting everything.
That's the default. Eldritch Blast.
Yeah.
Yeah. So how did Dungeon Scrawlers come about? Like, were you just like, hey, I'm bored, I need to stream every Wednesday night?
No, I got invited by Eric, and actually the idea came from Steven, who is our rogue, because he watches a lot of streaming shows, and he thought this looks like a lot of fun, and I feel like I could totally do this if I had the right group of people. So he contacted Eric, and this sort of web came out, and so we've actually been playing for most of a year, kind of like working out what we're going to do. We started, we filmed ourselves. We do not have great equipment to kind of see, like, was this working as a show, as a cohesive thing, which was really nice because then once we started, we kind of have all already gelled as a group, and we kind of know things about each other's characters and like how to kind of pull out how to react when people do things because that's normal or that's not normal, and like a year working up to this, and we got while we were doing that a contact of I think it was Eric's friend who runs Caldea Studios for Gen Con, said, hey, we're interested in having independent shows as well. Would you guys be interested in being our sort of our test case? So we are filming with them right now, and it's been really exciting. Especially, having mics that catch everybody's voice is really fun.
Yeah. And do you guys have any live game plans that you've announced?
We don't right now. No. I think it would be very exciting. I'm hopeful that at some future Gen Con that will definitely be the case. Future
Gen Con, not like 2020 Gen Con?
I don't
That's in the
I've
future.
Heard anything about that. That is the future. Okay.
No, I haven't.
Can I go?
I know some of us are going to be there, but not the whole party. So I don't know. We'll have to think about it.
There you go. Just putting that out there.
Yeah.
Into
Well, the
the
more
universe.
people that watch the stream, like the more Gen Con will kind of take notice and make those arrangements more possible, because there's a lot going on that they have to
Yeah, that's true.
encompass. And you know, we're all here. There are lots of excellent gaming conventions in Seattle too. So
True.
as long as Gen Con doesn't mind us, you know, cheating a little.
Well, you do have other sponsors.
We do. We are sponsored by Idle Champions.
Woo!
Forgotten
There we
Realms.
go. Yeah, I think when I saw your post to one of the Forgotten Realms Facebook groups, and I think one of the first things I did was poke Clive, and I'm like, Clive, go sponsor this thing for us.
Oh, thank you. I appreciate that. Yeah, it's fun too, because Yang Yang, who is our bard, he is our half-orc bard whose strength is his strength, and whose charisma is 8.
Oh God.
So
Okay.
he's a very enjoyable character. He is definitely not optimized. He's fun. So he says he plays outsider music. So he actually is a big player of Idle Champions. So he's really excited. And now I think Randy, our cleric, our dwarven cleric, Rogar, has started playing. Because, you know, we were talking about we want to make sure that we tell people about Idle Champions. And so he started playing after the stream and sending out screenshots of him playing, which is delightful.
Oh, well, that's great. No, happy to be part of it.
It's nice. It's, you know what? It's lovely to be sponsored, and we're very pleased. But we're also really pleased to be sponsored by a game that is so much fun and that, you know, we also want to play.
Yay. Oh, thank you. Yeah, well, I think, you know, you obviously want to be sensitive to your time. So thanks for both being here, but also for creating Frida and Havilar and such great characters. There's a screenshot that Anton just posted about right before the stream where he beat one of the adventures in the event, but just with Havilar and Frida, because he felt, you know, I should have just the two of them together doing that. So thank you. And actually, yes, we have. I was. So for those of you who didn't follow the trials and tribulations of Pack South, our gelatinous cube did not survive frost damage, and so we ended up. Sad. So we ended up tacking and pivoting into coloring sheets, and Farida coloring sheets were definitely one of the most popular ones.
Super popular.
Erin and I are friends on the Facebooks, and so I was sending various pictures because so many people kept coming, you know, and they'd be so excited about it because they would come up to us and they'd hold it and they'd turn it around and do a reveal was kind of the way. And then we were, you know, it's like, hey, you know, you can have a D6, and then we take the coloring sheet. So we're getting all of these awesome sheets. And the first day it was really kind of surprising because, you know, that really hadn't been the plan.
No.
Though it all worked out. No. And so, yeah, I was taking all these pictures and sending them to Erin being like, look at all these. Yeah, Frida is very popular. Lots of people coloring, doing very detailed coloring on Frida.
Yes, we'd love to.
I'm impressed because that was those little, like, 4 crayon packs, right?
Yeah, that's right. That's right.
Such amazing things with just those 4 little colors.
Really excited to see what they do with Havilar next. Hoping that will.
I'm so excited to see a Havilar coloring sheet. I can't even tell you. I was joking. I joked really early on that, like, if they were, like, if this were something happening within the realm of the book, that, like, Havilar would be so mad that Farida is the one who got picked to be in the monster fighting game because that's, like, that's her thing. And why does everybody always pay more attention to Farida? Not, you know, not too much, because I think it's obvious why Frida gets to be in the game first. But then, you know, I feel like on some level, Havilar is like, yes, now the party can begin.
Yeah.
So I'm really excited for her, even though it's not real.
Oh, cool. That's exciting.
Well, thank you very much. Yes, Thanks for joining us today. And yeah, so people, when can they tune in to see you on the streams? Wednesdays at?
Yes, Wednesdays, 6:30 Pacific on Gen Con TV, the Twitch channel. You can also check us out at dungeonscrawlers.com. There are links to watch the videos afterwards on YouTube or Twitch.
Yeah, and you can follow.
You can also see our recaps because the Dwarven cleric does some really hilarious recaps.
There
for
you go.
people who missed the stream.
And you can follow Erin on Twitter, and she does lots of posts there. So great. Follow her on all the things, and bye.
Bye,
guys.
Pleasure
again.
Thank you. Bye.
Bye.
Okay.
Okay.
Now we'll see the test for Margaret. Book. End meeting. Dum-da-dum.
And now we are going to do a fun little switch.
A switch. I'm out.
Where Eric is leaving and Peter is joining. And
Oh, this camera's over there. Bye. Camera over there.
And Peter will be answering some questions about offline progress, and I will be changing all the things and also not getting party wiped.
Oh, no.
Yeah.
Well, you could just go back a few. That might be easiest.
Level everyone.
There we go. Okay, well,
Yeah.
bye, everyone. Good luck,
everyone.
Dylan, if you're going to watch this to see how we do when you're not here.
We're
We're all
working
hoping
on
for
it.
you. We're thinking it's
working
great.
on it.
Margaret's awesome. She's got this. Great chatting with Erin. Great seeing everyone. Bye. We're going to turn you over to Peter now. Bye.
All right.
There's that.
Change places.
Where's that? There.
Changing places. Changing places.
And you have to
And
be really close.
really close.
Hello.
Hello. Yes.
Better?
Better.
Garwar.
Garwar. Oh, they're kind. There we go. And there we go. And now I just need to change all of the names. Because
Because you're not Erin.
I'm not Eric.
Eric. You're
No,
not Eric.
I'm not Erin M. Evans or Eric.
Nope, we are. I am just Margaret. I'm not Eric and Margaret.
Gotta move right here.
Peter. It's Peter. Peter. I am Margaret from marketing.
That's right, Sean, through the magic of the internet.
Through the magic of the internet, we have changed all of the things. Technology. And we're now going to put on the background music because otherwise the fan can be picked up, and that's a thing that happens.
Makes sense.
All right.
And you can ask Peter about these.
Yes. You can ask Peter about his
Ask Peter about those.
CNERICs.
Have fun, Peter. Good
Thanks,
job,
Eric.
Because we are there. Oh, level all the things. Level all the things. I
You
should
get
really
some
just
familiars out there. You got 1, 2 familiars.
I only have 2 familiars because it was very much a you need to try this without having a account boosted because that would be unfair and you wouldn't get the legit experience or the champions experience. All right. So let's talk about you. Let's talk about your experience with Codename. When did you first join?
I joined Codename. I don't know how long they've been running. I joined in 2008.
Which camera are you using currently? Because it's showing that light. You
Oh.
can turn one of the cameras. Is it this one? Better?
It's still on there a little bit. There you go.
Okay.
Good?
We're good. Thank you. Thank you.
All right.
Technical difficulties over, maybe?
I joined in 2009, I guess. Must be. That would have to be right.
Yes.
Yes. There's some fancy bricks that help do that math for me. They'd been running for a little bit. The downturn in the economy took away all jobs in Canada, so I was looking for work around the same time as every senior person at the company I was working for before, and so I was out-competed for most jobs. I told these guys in my resume that I was awesome, and
True facts.
yeah, and so I wound up working here and haven't looked back. It was back when it was Facebook games about breaking eggs, and every single person I told about this job was like, "That's a job?"
Yes, it is.
Yeah, and how
Yes,
far
it
we've
is.
come.
Look at us. Well, you. I'm still new. But yes, let's talk about how your job has changed since you've been at Codename.
I primarily do the same-ish things. I started only doing back-end development, only doing our server stuff, and then over time got to try my hand on front-end stuff. Now, obviously, work on more front-end things. These projects require more help with front-end work, so kind of get to float in between doing server stuff and the game that you guys see. And now, most recently, the stuff I've been doing was the integrations for Idle Champions on Android, iOS, Xbox, PlayStation 4, and Offline Progress.
Yes, Offline Progress. Oh, and all of your console work, like, so far as I've heard from the grapevine, before you started, there was nothing on console, and then you were thrown in, and you made consoles happen.
Yeah, that's right. We decided we were going to do it. Eric got the contacts together, and then he was like, here's a whole bunch of stuff to read. Someone has to do it. Go for it.
Okay.
Yeah.
We keep referencing them, but no one else can see. I think you should show off your C&E bricks.
Oh, it's the reward. Oh, that's gross. The reward for working at Codename for 5 years, and again for God, 10 years. There it goes.
There we go.
They're so heavy.
Very heavy.
Yeah. Oh Jesus.
Actually, so yes, you just got the last one. This past
This
year.
Christmas, yeah.
This Christmas.
Hence the math was easy.
Yay. So shall we start to jump into some offline progress questions?
Sure thing.
Okay, so Nightmare 937 asked if offline progress will be reworked to work with speed modifiers like champ abilities and or pots.
That's a good question. It's certainly something we could look at if it feels unfair. I mean, I think if we look at stuff like that, we'd probably have to take a closer look at how long it really takes to complete an area. We took an easy heuristic of saying, it takes about a minute to beat an area on average, and we just took that average and worked it out. So if we were going to do stuff like speed modifiers, picking up the speed, and Shandy's dash, picking up the speed, I think we'd have to reconsider the whole thing and maybe do a quicker heuristic about how quick you specifically are finishing areas, and then your near wall areas I think would slow down more than you'd expect, maybe.
Okay, that's fair. And Dogberry99 has a comment about, as someone who's gotten burned out at times with the game and has taken leaves of absence, the offline progress is so good.
Thanks. Yeah, we like it. I think Dupuis, you guys are familiar with. Oh, maybe that was not okay to say. Is that Chris?
Hashtag of the blame, Chris.
Yeah, hashtag blame Chris. When he first tried out offline progress, he was like, "Hey, this is good. This is really special. We should actually focus on this and not make it an offhand thing."
Yeah, it's been really nice on mobile because now if you answer a text, you keep going, which is awesome. Okay, another question from Mage Pie. How long has the offline progress taken, and has there been any unexpected obstacles?
We started in around November, I believe, and I bet Garwar or someone else in the chat can tell me when we turned it over to the beta testers. It didn't seem like there was any unexpected things until we gave it to the beta testers, who promptly found plenty of things we hadn't thought about, like challenge progress not working, or Zorbu farming, that kind of thing. So there was lots of things that did not work in our sort of slapdash initial approach.
Right. And okay, Zeke 640 again is, as a mobile player, has been loving the offline progress. I feel you. Yep.
Oh, thanks, Zeke.
Phone batteries, thank you. And the Cajun one is asking if it's better to go offline at a boss or the level before the boss.
I wouldn't think that would have an effect. if you're seeing a difference between the two, so it does simulate every boss, so you can't cheese the bosses because they're considered particularly hard kind of hurdles. So if you go offline before or after a boss, you will definitely be simulated on the boss, and it should be the exact same simulation.
Right.
So it should be exactly the same. No difference.
Exactly the same. So, okay. And even with your familiars and your roaming alts and...
Yep.
Okay, cool.
I guess actually, specifically, it was brought up in the baiting testing channel earlier today that if you you could maybe die sooner on bosses like the Devourer just because of how they were coded. Your champions die, quote unquote, earlier than they would actually be relevant to your formation.
Okay.
Things like that. So, but still the same.
Still the same, but different?
Yeah. Maybe beat the boss. The level after the boss, if it's a particularly hard boss, might be a better place to go offline.
Nice. Okay. And I suppose on that, do you want to talk a little bit about like what's included in offline progress and what isn't? So are potions consumed? Are there variations?
No consumable potions are used. The potions that are applied are the epic potions that have unlimited time until reset. So we use those in the calculations. We don't apply any of your potions that have a time limit because we didn't want to have you come back and have them consumed offline. I wanted you to see the consumption. So those ones don't get applied. Obviously, we're open to feedback. If people don't like that, we'd just apply all the potions, but you'd come back to all your...
Potions gone?
Yeah, short potions being completely consumed.
Then please don't write to C&E, Sean. Nightmare 937 again. Can't really play Idle Champions on my PS4 with a lag. It lags post zone 100 and only when mobs are on. Do you have some enlightening wisdom on that?
I mean, it's a good question. Certainly, I hope it's improved lag from the fixed numbers build if you experience that. We did recently make a sort of systemic change, and PS4 was the only platform out of all of them that had a major hiccup, like all of the numbers in the game being wrong, which obviously made it totally unplayable. So we, for build 284, I think, and don't hold me to that, we made a fix that had a massive performance hit, but fixed all the numbers. And then 285 is an attempt to improve that performance again. But yeah, I mean, we can revisit performance on PS4. We are always working on the game. But if it is significantly worse than a few changes ago, we can attribute it to that systemic change we've made, which I think is still a secret. Yeah. I mean, not that we made a systemic change, but what that change is, or I'm sure it's in the well of spoilers somewhere. People are aware of what happened.
Or are they?
There's some code decompilers out there.
Yes.
they would probably be able to figure out what had happened. And yeah, I mean, we can revisit that if it's actually still sort of unplayable, as you suggest, Nightmare.
And Dave the Aztec has a question on how does gold rate compare to online play?
Gold rate compares to online play. It should compare similarly. Again, we're open to feedback as far as if that's not true. I think the worst thing about previous offline gold calculations was that because you weren't moving forward, gold is growing exponentially as you move through the levels. So having gold on a fixed level as opposed to being 20 levels higher was actually a massive difference. If that's not true, obviously, and familiars killing things and getting gold wasn't applying previously, so that's now in there. So it should be very similar.
Nice.
Why not make the offline portion possible?
Okay, Supply 215 would like to know why not make the offline potions consummation optional, or if that's possible.
Everything is possible. What's the Assassin's Creed thing slogan there? Everything's permissible. Yeah, I mean, that's certainly possible. And I think, that again, that's sort of the live service benefit we have. We went with the sort of hopefully the most popular choice. But yeah, that would be a good solution to maybe some people wouldn't want this to happen, and maybe other people would.
Okay. And also on things that are possible, aren't possible, I've heard Azaka farming is not possible on offline progress.
Azaka farming is not supported on offline progress.
Okay.
Whether or not it's possible, whether we would want to invest the time in making something like that work, whether you'd be satisfied with the results of something like that. The beta testers did discuss different farming solutions and whether or not they would work in offline progress, and the suggestion was that Azaka farming probably wouldn't work. So I am sticking with it's not happening now.
It's not happening now.
And we're a live service game. Hit us up with those complaints you have ad infinitum, and obviously the ones that people are mad about the most get fixed.
No, okay, on that, please hit us up with your feedback. We value both legitimate criticisms and your praise.
I'm not saying complaints are a bad thing.
But both are nice, and we do address things, but also please be aware that we are a tiny studio. And if you send 1 million tickets, C&E Sean's going to have to work some very long hours. And so we're small.
Yeah.
And speaking of C&E Sean, Ray in 1888 has a question. Are you and Sean getting enough support requests to address some of the bugs or abnormalities or people are seeing, or is it just a few people with some issues?
So we had some fully broken things, for sure. WebGL on day one there was definitely broken in one case, or at least one case. I don't know that we've seen a ton of bugs regarding offline progress. If you mean other issues, maybe not. But, I mean, if you experience something broken, you should definitely hit us up. We will do our best to fix everybody all the time.
And the best way to hit us up is through an in-game support ticket. And I'm just actually going to go into Steam and show you. You want to hit this button to ticket us and also level things. Because I really need to get some familiars. Note to self. Add familiars before next stream. Now that I have the Dylan powers.
Yes. Wait.
Kind of.
Do we have admin powers for familiars? I don't think we do.
Oh, okay.
we can still hook you up.
Okay, please. So Cassius335 would like to know if would it be possible to get a familiar slot on auto progress, or would that break the new system? Just one click every 5 to 10 minutes. Would that help?
I don't think that would break the new system. I imagine in most cases it would make you end in the same place offline progress-wise. Otherwise, I feel like most people's familiars are too valuable to turn offline progress back on if they fail an area. That may not be true. I bet that's not as popular a feature as some of the other things people might request. It could work. I don't think that there's as many people. Obviously, the chat could just completely shut me down on that. But
chat, now's your chance. Now's your developer time. Go.
I mean, I think most people have enough familiars. They're probably dedicated to some. I think they're already making hard choices, and turning on after a single area fail might not be.
Might not be the best. Yeah.
Whether or not that's even a thing we could just turn on at without using a familiar, just turn auto progress back as a setting.
Just try.
Retry auto progress every 5 minutes.
And then it farms if you don't.
Yeah, so that's true.
Right. Okay. Smut Puffin has a question. Have you ever heard of the Kickstarter called Nearest Marvelous Menagerie? The author/artist who created them came up with some very cool creatures that would be some awesome challenges on here.
No, that's like an Eric question.
That is an Eric.
Like, what would licensing something like that work? Ooh.
Yeah.
What does licensing look like for Nearwest's Marvelous Menagerie? I guess you're allowed to sell whatever you want. Doesn't have to be D&D specific. People
I don't know.
can just attribute their stuff.
We'll see.
I'm probably not allowed to say stuff like that on stream.
More questions from Nightmare 937. Thank you for being so active in the chat with your questions. We appreciate them. Thanks for the codes. I just like the combination rotation. PC and mobile can copy paste, but console players can't. So can we at least use our keyboards, virtual or real?
Well, that's something we can totally look at, Nightmare.
Yeah. We feel your pain. We will look at your pain. We will contemplate your pain and see if we can fix it. Maybe.
I know someone's looking very specifically at your pain, Nightmare. But very specifically at it at this very moment.
Mystery C&E developers. But any time on that is going to be soon. Or maybe.
Soon TM.
Yeah. DDAM 17. Offline progress doesn't appear to work correctly on PS4 when using crawl. Are buffers taken in account when offline progress is calculated? 3 to 4 zones progress in 5.5 hours is not ideal. No, that is not ideal progress.
No. DDAM. So yes, debuffers are taken into account, and your particular offline progress woes may be tied to the actual overall system, which I will probably be taking another look at soon, TM. Hopefully they're not. I doubt it's crawl related. I mean, you could obviously test that yourself and pull crawl out. And if you have a formation, I mean, not to say you need to play the game a different way, but you could definitely verify whether or not crawl is the problem or debuffers in general are the problem if you try a different formation that's more straight DPS based. But I think it actually might just be something related to that PS4 lag we're seeing.
Okay. So, hopefully fix in progress.
Yes.
And Sir Mushy wants to know, how about save formation shortcut actually switching all champions which are not in contact with enemies?
Save formation? Wait. Switching all champions. Okay. Yeah. I don't know about that. It's an interesting idea. But I think you just got to do the go back an area, forward an area solution. Okay. Go back one, come back, switch your formation, or go back one, switch your formation, come back.
That's fair. Take a moment.
Yeah.
Ooh, it's a good question from Mage Pie. If auto progress is turned off, will going offline still try to progress the areas?
I sure hope not. It is something we accounted for, so it shouldn't be. You should be able to, for instance, Zorbu farming is, most people like to do that by focusing on a specific area that they know is going to spawn undead or something of that nature. So it should stay in the area you leave it on. If it's not, that would be...
that would be a bug?
Yes, that would be a bug.
That would be an in-game ticket, please. Please don't tweet me. With
don't
your bugs. Well, sometimes people tweet me with their bugs, and I'm like, I can't try to solve this in 280 characters. Please write us a ticket.
Yeah, and that's probably the response mostly that you'll get back if you tweet us the bugs.
Yeah.
We also don't have a way of looking you up easily.
Yeah.
If you put in a ticket, it's so much faster for us to get it dealt with. Also, most of the pain is Sean's and not anybody else's. So if you love Sean, send him tickets.
We all love Sean.
Not unnecessary tickets. He doesn't need those.
I feel like at some point I'm going to have to invite Sean on stream just because they've heard so much about him.
For sure. Yeah. I was literally just thinking that we need to, anybody who's comfortable needs to do a Dev Days.
No, Zeke, don't tweet all your problems to Sean.
Find out Sean's personal Twitter and tweet at Sean.
Broad-faced killer wants to know about having a way to have the familiar choose the specialization for the champion. So specialization selection while offline.
We've talked about stuff like that. It's definitely more of a design decision, sort of a bigger overall. What do people really want out of that? I mean, I think generally, whether that's part of a save formation thing or because you probably set up your formation and have your specialization choices as part of that formation decision. So it might fit better in something like that. Again, I think it would be too valuable and too weird to use it would be too valuable to use a bunch of familiars to choose everyone's specialization, and it would be too odd of a whole new UI segment to assign one familiar, say, to doing it. So I think it would be a better fit somewhere else. That's an interesting idea. I gotta stop smacking my lips.
Rykit has a question for me. What familiar would I choose if I asked the dev team to make one for me? I would, well, would that be a question to the developers or to the artists or both?
Primarily artists.
Okay. I think for me, when we did our Extra Life, part of the challenge was Alexis and Michelle did a drawing 5-minute sketches where they rolled for adjectives and creatures, and something that came out of it were very cuddly beholders. So like they kind of looked like they were a cross between a Care Bear and a beholder. And that would make a really awesome familiar, just like all pink and fluffy and with like hearts, but also doom. Yeah.
That's pretty awesome. Has Adam not incorporated that into one of the like lunchtime campaigns yet?
No, we just started, so we're gonna have to see how that happens.
Somewhere in Avernus.
Zeke would like to know where we can see the cuddly beholders. I have posted some of them on our Instagram back in November, and I'll tweet one out. I'll find the file and tweet it out after the stream. So, yeah, we have some really talented artists, and even the small sketches are super awesome. So. And
is the VOD on our Twitch page for Extra Life?
Yes, our video that
if you wanted to dig through the whole thing,
the whole 24 hours of chaos of the C&E office.
It was late at night. You could skip like the first 12 hours easily.
Or I don't know. Want to watch our other chaos. Cassius335 is asking, are familiars and their associated effects simulated in offline purpose? We're only on the subject of familiars. Yes.
100% they are. They do the things that they do when you're doing offline progress. Hey, that isn't in the dev blog. You're right. That was rude of me.
This is why we have Q&As. It's not because we forget things. Like, it's not because we're trying to hide things. It's just sometimes we forget to include things.
We're human people.
We are human people.
We make human mistakes.
We're not cyborgs or Cylons.
That's exactly what a Cylon would say. Exactly.
Ooh, Green Samurai 23 has a question. Is there a connection between offline progress and multi-adventure mode? And is that what you will be working on next?
I can say that it's not what I will be working on next, and I can't really comment on any connections between the two.
No comment?
No comment, because there's someone who could better answer those questions, and I'm sure he'll be on here to talk about that later.
Yes.
Not later, like today.
No.
Or even soon to
you. No.
You just live here. It'd be nice.
No.
Set up a kitchen.
We do not have space in the streaming closet for a kitchen. Dogberry99, can you regress levels while offline?
No.
Nope.
Easy.
Okay. That is an answer.
Put in the specific thing. Wherever you start is where you finish, even if you would lose in that area.
Awesome. Dave the Aztec wants to know, what happens if you don't pick a specialization before you go offline? Can you find a way to pre-choose?
I think that goes to the heart of the same answer from before. I think save formation, something like that would be a better place for it. I don't know that we have anything in the plans for that, but I'm not aware of all of our future plan decisions, so.
Yeah. Okay. And Darkstrider193, what ways are there to get more shiny gear? I've been playing for over 2 years and now only have 9 total. And many of us can't spend money on the game. How do you maximize your shinies?
Ask Justin. I don't know. Potions of polish? I mean, are they... Pop my peas. Are they available to normal free-to-play players? I'm not sure what the best way to get more shinies is. I bet there's players in the chat that can answer that question.
Yeah, it's buy lots of chests with gems. I think the biggest thing is gem farming and then silver chests. Please correct me if I'm wrong, chat, because many of you have been playing for years longer than I have. But lots of silver chests seems to be the
any way to get a lot of anything in free-to-play mode is something the community has figured out and can answer for you.
Yes. And Shonen111 with all awesome new things coming out, is engineering notation something that'll be added soon?
I don't think so. Yeah, it's so similar to scientific notation, isn't it? So I think we're
just doing the scientific notation.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yep.
You did.
I guess there's probably some people for whom engineering notation is just much easier to read because they're used to it, but I don't think we have plans on engineering notation.
Ooh, numbers. Ooh, manual turret. Yes, manual turret. Do you get silver chests from bosses while you're offline?
Manual turret, yes. The extended answer is yes. All the boss loot is exactly the same as if you were online. It's actually guaranteed by the way the system works. You would get exactly the same things if you played online or if you go offline for it.
Cool. Tamarin has a question. Will there still be familiars whom you can buy for gems or from patrons?
I don't know about our upcoming things. That's a Chris question.
That's a Chris question.
Chris is all about that kind of information.
His brain is spoilers.
Yeah.
Okay, and our Green Paradox. What is a skin you would like to see and on which champion?
The only one I thought about, I think we just did, the Hand of Vecna skin, when Joe was so excited about having, replaced his hand with the Hand of Vecna.
No.
Well, Archon's hand with the Hand of Vecna.
Just running around with the Hand of Vecna. Oh.
I was like, we have to do that. We need to do skins, and we need to do that. That was way before we even had a skin system. So we've done the one I thought about. I don't know. I mean, a Calliope skin where Calliope is Brian Posehn?
No. Calliope is Gene Simmons.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
Very cool.
I can see that. That'd be fun.
Well, do you have one?
Okay, well, Calliope as Gene Simmons sounds hilarious. But also the Havilar as Marie Antoinette, in the ball gown. That sounds fun.
Wow. Yeah. Very cool.
Yes, my list is long, apparently. Dungeons and dad jokes. Ooh, can you put a good dad joke in chat for us? First, my kids and I love the game. We play on mobile, Xbox, and PC. Thanks. Second, would it be theoretically possible to create accounts that would allow us to play our progress picking up where we left off on different platforms based on which account I log into?
We don't have... I'm a little confused by the question. We don't have any account sharing across multiple platforms at this time. We don't always get our builds out for all platforms at exactly the same time. Therefore, there's sometimes different features live on different platforms. So we don't support playing one account on multiple platforms right now. And when we first went through the process, it was also something that wasn't really done. The platforms themselves didn't like that.
Didn't like that? No.
I think the meta's kind of shifted in the interim, but I think we're still out in the cold on that.
Yeah. Well. And Yuck Solir asks, Zorsilir. I'm sorry if I'm butchering your username. Offline progression, does offline progress count for patron challenges? Because it didn't count the 200 levels for no healer challenge just now.
Should have.
Should have?
So that would be a bug, an unexpected consequence, I think, unless I'm missing something. Yeah, I would have thought that it would, so that would be a bug in offline progress.
And please, for bugs, open a ticket in-game to C&E Sean. C&E Sean. Smut Puffin would like to know if we can get some supply chests in the store.
Don't look at me. I don't put things in the store. At C&E Justin.
I will note that for feedback. I pass lists to C&E Justin all the time. It's great. I give him the TLDR. But it's true. Christopher287, how does offline progress work into our takeover plans? Use the code words fellow non-Cylons. The code words.
Sigma beta, alpha, epsilon. I hope that answers your question, Christopher M287.
Totally non-Cylons. King Macris asks how new champions are selected to be added to the game. Will we possibly see any critical role characters in the future? We're not really the people that add champions to the game, but I can tell you right now that we do not have any current plans to add any critical role characters to the game. Nothing weird between us. We absolutely love them. They're just very, very busy. And yeah, it's quite a process. We'll have a video coming out next week that will show sort of our creation process with a content creator about how we incorporate their character into the game. While the character fits into the game mechanically, but also keeping true to their personal lore.
We have a couple out there right now, right?
We have a couple.
There's a Walnut one already?
There's a Walnut one.
And
there's
James Dark Magic.
And Jim Dark Magic. And then we have an interview with Joe Magdalena where he talks about Crawl. But I think we'll have a specific one.
About a whole process.
About a process next week.
An inside C&E kind of documentary.
Sure. Inside C&E. No. If you want that, you just need to watch Extra Life. Our Extra Life stream. So that's what happens. And Jetty Sero has a question for Peter. Are you working on the automation / preset runs?
No. Is that something from the dev blog? I'm unaware of what that is.
The Modron automation?
Oh, yeah. No, I'm not part of that. I go back in my little developer cave and work on my stuff, and then all kinds of cool stuff gets added to the game, and then I come out. And so if it seems like I don't understand anything about the game at all, I apologize. I know a lot about some stuff.
You know a lot about some stuff, and you don't work in a cave because I see you.
That's true. It's a big, open,
fun office.
It's more of a Spotify cave. It's an oral cave.
Yes, well, we're all in our own Spotify caves. Or Twitch caves. But, yeah, no. That's that. Jellyquell? When you come back from being offline, only shows event drops and gold, not chest or gems. Is it helpful to report those too?
Bug. If it didn't report them and you got them, you may not have got... Well, you should have got gems. And you should certainly get chests. It should report chests, gems, red rubies from Black Viper, and there's another thing you can drop. One more case. So, time gate pieces. You should also report those if you get them. Everything you get from bosses should be dropped. So if it's not showing up, That is...
it's just put on some more strength.
Yeah, so in-game ticket... if it were maybe WebGL that was happening on, I would be less surprised. If it's... or I should say, if that's on Congregate or Armor Games or CNE Games.
Bug. Please write us in game, which I know I'm saying a lot, but it is really the best way for us to solve problems.
Yeah.
We have a question from Egoheim 10. I'm sorry. Can you spoil the weekend buff, please? Would you like to spoil the buff, or should I?
Did you spoil the buffs?
Are
you allowed to say spoilers?
We're allowed to say a select list of spoilers. There's the
one. This one's so exciting. I feel like you should just tease the bejesus out of it and let them.
No, but we always do it. We always tell them what it is. So this weekend is the RIP Spurt weekend. Rest in peace for our kobold. And with buffs for Celeste, Spurt, Shandy, Hitch, and Archon. And the GE will be for Spurt in honor of his remembrance.
Can you spoil hidden code too?
Can I spoil hidden code too? You mean the secret code for the stream? Because that one was found already. Or if you're talking about the giant list of secret codes. You guys are finding a lot of them, and it's still January.
Faster than expected?
No, and despite my interesting start, I do know the difference between a January hint and a December hint, which is... December hint is, have you tried these letters? January hint, there are codes. But yes, both...
You got to come up with more cryptic things,
Well, I have.
Yeah. Okay.
But
they're for later.
For later.
Keep watching the stream.
Keep watching the stream. We'll probably end up spoiling something accidentally, or on purpose. And in the Q&As, we'll put in a hint, and if it's not caught the first time, we'll put it in again.
Okay.
Yeah, more obvious.
Sometimes I like to put codes in. I put one in that went undiscovered for a long time because it was no longer culturally relevant to people that get to go to movies. But because I watch movies a solid year and a half after they come out, it was a movie I had just seen, and I was so surprised we hadn't made a code about it that I threw one in there. But any code I throw in, it's for one gold chest. I don't know if that's what they're all for.
Do you remember what the code was?
Yeah, well, I mean, cryptically, it was about Black Panther.
Okay. Free Wakanda?
No, it's very... Wakanda Forever.
Wakanda Forever. Oh, right. That one.
But a way to spell that fits inside 12 characters.
Yeah, that would do it. Neil5227 wants to know if Peter, if you moonlight as a Twitch streamer.
If I moonlighted as a Twitch streamer who you only only heard my voice and never saw my face, I would not reveal myself right now. But no, I don't.
Oh no.
I guess that's kind of a terrible answer because now I've teased that maybe it is true.
Maybe it is true.
I'd love to know who that is so that I could go listen to them because that might be fun.
Oh yeah, link them. Let us know. We want to hear fake Peter, second Peter, Peter's doppelganger.
Voice doppelganger.
Voice doppelganger.
I've been told at Starbucks that I have a local doppelganger. He's an EMT.
That's cool.
Yeah.
Well, at least... Ooh, what if something happened and he had to, come fix you?
That'd be weird.
It'd be super weird for you and him.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. Okay. Let's maybe back to some relevant questions. Off the tangent. Dursaries. If a champion is used in an adventure, is it removed from use in the multiple adventures run feature coming? So a question about multiple adventures. I think if you put them on the bench...
I think the answer would be yes. If you're removed...
You can't have two Brunars or two Celestes. Yeah. You'd have to...
I assume that's the idea.
Yeah. Because you're splitting the party, not cloning the party.
Yeah.
Yeah. That would be cool. question from OG17. Is there room to improve the offline catch-up loading time? Just thinking of when Modron Audition comes around with multiple runs.
There may very well be room to improve it for multiple runs. Like if resets were going to happen, we might be able to sort of jump around a bit more quickly. As far as right now, we'd have to look at some tighter things to change. But yeah, I mean, obviously everything's a work in progress at all times. Like live service game, to your benefit, to our long time work hours.
That's what we do. Okay. We have a question from C. Marigu about the stability of our PS4 client. Are we working on improving that?
We've taken a few stabs at that, and we're not seeing the problems. So we don't see the problems in the Steam builds, the same problems. We don't see the problems with our accounts. So C. Morrigu, again, this one wouldn't waste any of Sean's time, luckily. This would go straight to me. If you submit if you submit a ticket around a time when it's particularly bad for you, and leave your account like that until you get a response from Sean, he can save your account details back to our dev servers, and we can run your account on the PS4 here and see if we can reproduce your specific problem. And that may very well be everyone's specific problem, because we do have a terrible crash rate on PS4 that we're aware of, but have been unable to reproduce. So if you have an account in that state, we'd actually love to see it. So if you watch this stream and you play on PS4...
Yes. And you have problems, please follow those directions.
A few of you somehow communicate with each other and don't send us 1 million tickets, but some of you please submit tickets.
If we had 1 million viewers, that would be something. Then, yeah.
1 million PS4 viewers.
Yeah.
Most popular game on PS4. Take that, God of War.
So, I've seen you play Rocket League at lunch. What else do you like to play? Video games.
What was I playing? I played. It's a little indie game, but if you have Xbox Game Pass, hit it up immediately. The Lonely Mountains downhill biking game. I played obsessively until I unlocked every track, and then I kind of gave up on it. But it is so fun. Fun for days, hours and hours. And it's probably the game I've played the most in like the last 10 years. I'm very much with my amount of gaming time. I'm over games like Red Dead 2,
right?
Because I cannot play them for long enough to like experience something, and then when I come back to them, I forget where I was. Yeah, what do I play? Play City Skylines right now.
City Skylines, cool.
I'm just a huge proponent of Xbox Game Pass. Get Xbox Game Pass and play games for as long as you're still enjoying them, and then stop playing them. It's the best thing ever.
I mean, that's good advice. It's like, play the games you enjoy for as long as if you stop enjoying the game, don't play it as much.
Yeah. I really liked Into the Breach by the guys who made FTL. I liked FTL as well, but I'm terrible at it. But I was way better at Into the Breach. Almost beat that one.
Is
really fun.
Is there like a upcoming release you're really excited for, or?
I'm kind of excited for Cyberpunk, but I feel like it falls into that RDR2 category where I'm not going to play it because I...
But you want to.
Yeah, I want to. It looks really beautiful.
Yeah, that's cool. That's cool. But... Into the Breach is addicting from Christopher 287. Yeah.
Absolutely, it is.
I haven't played it. Oh, no. All right. So, have you watched The Witcher?
Nope, I've not watched The Witcher.
Okay.
Yeah, as I told you, I don't watch it. I don't watch anything.
You don't watch anything?
No,
you're not going to participate in the non-mandatory.
On Netflix, I'm watching Cheer.
Cheer?
Yeah.
Okay.
The documentary about high school cheerleading squad. No, university cheerleading squad. It's way less creepy.
Okay. Cool.
Yeah.
And the stream just got up with The Office. I know in The Office on Fridays we're watching Picard. Are you
No, I wasn't. So I had a friend who was super into TNG in high school, and that was all the TNG I ever saw. I still enjoyed it, but I am not a Star Wars person. Star Trek. Oh shit! I did like the worst nerd cred thing ever. That was a flub, not knowing which one is which.
We promise we know the difference between Star Trek and Star Wars.
I won't make that promise. You can hate me. Margaret knows. I do like Star Wars. Not as much as anybody else here, though.
Dogberry99, you don't understand the amount of nerd cred that they check before you get hired here at this point. Like, they check your nerd cred here. Mage Pie wants to know when we'll have fluffy Iris Beholder merch. I guess I'm marketing.
Yeah, when?
When
will we have any merch?
When will we have merch? Well, we don't really merch because we're a video game company, but noted. Note your ideas. But yeah. Oh, Garwar says that we thought people were mad about offline progress bugs. Wait until this.
Oh, yeah.
Yes, please write C&E
Sean
I
might be fired.
About a problem.
There may be nobody to fix offline progress stuff.
They will just write C&E Sean about our Star Wars, Star Trek mix-ups. Yeah.
Oh, I thought maybe just not a Star Trek person.
Oh, okay.
Additionally. I doubled down
You doubled
on a lack of
down?
nerd cred. I flubbed it and said I don't like Star Trek.
Okay, so what is your nerd cred? Because everyone in this office has nerd cred.
My favorite Star Trek series is The Orville. If that's any form of... Like, I get the references from that show.
Yeah, and like it doesn't have to be Star Trek or Star Wars. Like, just,
what's my nerdiest?
What's your nerd cred?
I don't know. I mean, I was a video gamer all through high school. I had to put up with being a nerd for sure. I played Magic.
Yeah.
Again, I sucked at that. I suck at everything video game related, card game related. What? Magic wasn't a video game? No.
Oh.
It wasn't. I know.
Yeah.
Hey, Redemption. Thanks, Dogberry.
Princess Bride on a t-shirt, Peter. TNA games.
Hufflepuff.
Oh yes, yeah. Okay, you're wandering around in the office in like Harry Potter hoodies, so you definitely have nerd cred.
Yeah.
You have your Hufflepuff hoodie and your Gryffindor hoodie, but
so that feels like someone taking nerd cred away. That I have not chosen a house. I'm very much like.
But then where's your other ones? Like your Slytherin and your Ravenclaw.
My wife has a Ravenclaw hoodie.
Okay.
And no Slytherin ones. I am House Hufflepuff as far as Pottermore is concerned.
Oh.
And Jill is a Slytherin, so she's not representing her proper house. I bought the Hufflepuff hoodie because I got a Pottermore Hufflepuff answer. So
you're how do you feel about your Hufflepuffness? Because some people are really happy about it, and some people.
Yeah, I like that. It's the house of Cedric Diggory. I can take that. Yeah. That's everybody. I saw recently on Reddit somebody was saying there's like 3 or 4 named Hufflepuffs in 7 books, with Cedric being one of those.
No, there's more. I think.
I mean, I was trusting the Reddit nerds.
Okay. Well, that's fair.
the Reddit nerds on like our Harry Potter to not find more than a few. She really didn't name many, and it's the only house whose common room they don't go into. She felt like you couldn't come up with a valid reason to have Harry go into the Hufflepuff common room.
Yeah. Okay, even though the Ravenclaw one was a bit of a stretch, but Okay. The Zeki 640 has a mighty need of the Iris dice. Yes. Are you going to be at PAX East? We will have them at PAX East.
PAX Prime?
No, that's
or will we not have them there?
There is no PAX Prime. There's only PAX West.
Oh, that's like rebranding. Okay.
Yeah.
I thought I said something like,
no,
you're not allowed to say we're going to be there.
Yes. Okay, then Zeki 640, if you give us a colored Idle Champion sheet,
so pretty,
then you will get a Iris D6.
Zeke is one of our beta testers.
Oh,
maybe.
Maybe.
What size shirt do you wear, Zeke?
You say this.
And then I make promises.
And then I have to check an extra bag.
Maybe there will be one there. And maybe there won't. I'm making no promises.
It depends on the luggage situation and the shirt situation and the luggage situation. All right. So I think that's pretty much everything. I'm gonna wrap us up for the day. Thank you, everyone, for joining us. That's our show for Thursday, January 30th, 2020. Thanks so much for joining us and participating in the Idle Champions and Dungeons & Dragons communities. You're all awesome. The show exists because of a number of amazing, amazing people behind the scenes, including my co-producer, Erica, as well as our partners at Dungeons & Dragons, Greg, Bart, Pelham, Allison, Schelling, and Lisa. Thank you. Sorry for butchering your names. I'd like to thank Erin Evans again for joining us, and Peter for answering all your offline progress questions. Take care, champions, and have a wonderful weekend.